being accountable, giving apologies, sharing pictures. We're going to get into it. Let's get it. Welcome. First of all, welcome. This is Unsolicited Perspectives. I'm your host, Bruce Anthony, here to lead the conversation in important events and topics that are shaping today's society. Join the conversation and follow us wherever you get your audio podcasts. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for our video podcasts, YouTube exclusive content, and our YouTube memberships. Rate, review, like, comment, share. Share with your friends, share with your family. Hell, even share with your enemies. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about accountability. We're going to be talking about a beef between a podcast and a rapper. And we're going to be talking about sending pictures to people. I'll get into more of that specifically, but that's enough of the intro. Let's get to the show. You know, a lot of people ask me about the guests that I have on the show and when are we going to have more guests on the show? Well, okay, first, let me address the latter. We are going to have more guests in the show in the fall. I've taken kind of a little bit of a break because I had to clean up a few of the past interviews that I've done, delete some of them because some information came out later about the guests that I had on. And so, yeah, we're going to still do interviews, but we're going to bring them back. And personally, I had some things that I just wanted to say. And when I do the sibling happy hour, I don't really get to, I mean, of course I get to talk, but you know, the topics are more geared to a conversation between me and my sister. And sometimes I just want to get my rocks off and just let y'all know how I feel about certain things. And then maybe I don't want my sister to have to be attached to whatever it is I'm saying. So yeah, we're going to bring the guests back and we're going to be getting back into all of that stuff. But people often ask me, like, how do you come up with your guests? How do you contact your guests? How much do your guests get paid? And here's a simple answer to that. Very rarely do I go looking for guests. Guests typically pitch their ideas and I decide whether it's something that I want to have on the show or not. If it's something that's interesting to me, then obviously I'm going to interview a person. I've been good and bad of picking guests. You know, sometimes I think that the conversation will be a really good conversation and it isn't. And sometimes I'm going into a situation thinking like, oh, they have an interesting story. This might be okay. And it ends up being a really good interview. So you just kind of never know. We do not pay anybody. Everybody that's a guest on the show comes on free, just as when I'm a guest on other people's show, it's for free. That's kind of the rule for podcasting is you typically don't pay for guests. Now, there are some podcasts that absolutely pay for guests. We aren't that because we ain't got the money. And I don't know if that will be that. Because I think that when you pay guests that you have to give up a little bit of your vision of what your show is. And I don't think that I'm ever going to do that. So if our guests ever said, well, how much am I going to make? You know, currently right now, I'm going to say not a damn dime because we're broke, but, you know, somewhere down the road, maybe, but that always comes with concessions. Why am I bringing all this up? Because the podcasting game can be difficult sometimes when it comes to interviews and doing interviews with other people. There have been times where I've interviewed other people and you guys will never see the interview. Because I don't like the way it went. I don't like what was said. I don't like what was discussed, or the interviewer doesn't like what's discussed. And even though interviewers sign waivers that say, I got control of the final cut, you know, sometimes they'll preach their concerns and I'll say, okay, you know, I can respect that. This wasn't a good interview for you. You don't want some of that information out. That's okay. Don't need to put it out. I appreciate it. If something changes down the road, we can re-record the interview and make those adjustments in that second go around. You know, I'm just in my human nature. I'm always pretty compromising as a person, knowing that life is about compromise. And so I'm pretty reasonable. I try to be a reasonable, compromising individual, but it's still difficult, you know, when you can have guests on your show that don't like the way the finished product is done. And I do send the finished product to the guest before it airs. Nobody has ever come to me and said, I don't want it to air. They don't have the right because they signed a waiver. Out of respect, if there's something that I'm thinking, okay, yeah, you didn't want to let that out, I can cut it out or can it completely. But nobody has ever dictated to me what can and cannot come out. And I honestly never had a situation. Well, I've had a few situations where people have come to me wanting to come on the show, set up appointments, and then bailed, didn't show, and then come back around saying, "Hey, can we still do the interview?" And my answer to that is always no. If you don't give me an explanation, a reasonable explanation of why you bailed on me, then no, I'm not going to want to do business with you. I'm really stern when it comes to business, and I know I said they aren't getting paid, but this is my business. This is something. This is my baby. So I'm very stern on the rules and parameters of which I work in this world and in my field, which is operating my baby, which is Unsolicited Perspectives. Why am I saying all this? If you guys are not in the know in the hip hop community, there was a beef. There's a little beef. It wasn't like a Kendrick Lamar Drake type beef. It was a little beef between a podcast and a rapper. That podcast being 85 South, this 85 South show. It's hosted by DC Young Fly, Chico Bean, and Carlos Miller. And that rapper being Rick Ross. So, if you guys do not know what I'm talking about, I'm going to give you a quick synopsis, a quick history of everything that's going on, and then give my personal take on it. So, this disagreement between Rick Ross and DC Young Fly centers on an incident during a 2021 taping on the 85 South show. Rick Ross appeared on the show, but left abruptly in the middle of the interview, gave little explanation at the time. This move sparked confusion and left the host feeling slighted as Ross reportedly departed to attend other commitments. Now, that in and of itself, I remember when this all happened. And I remember watching the show. This 85 South is not a show that I routinely watch. I don't have a lot of time to watch a lot of other podcasts. Believe it or not, I don't ever watch the finished product of our podcast. I just don't have enough time. It's on to the next filming, it's on the next editing. I don't have enough time. But I have watched some full shows and have definitely watched a lot of clips of 85 South show. And look, Carlos Miller, Chico Bean, and DC Young Fly are hilarious, right? They're all comedians. They are hilarious. It seems like they're all friends before starting the podcast. And you can see that coming out in the show. I have talked to a few of my good friends saying that we should do a friend podcast as part of the Unsolicited Podcast Network. And they are really adamant about it being completely uncensored. And I said, oh, okay, well, uncensored can only work when I have a licensing deal, and I don't have that yet, but maybe. But I think that I and our friends who are nowhere near as funny as Carlos Miller, Chico Bean, and DC Young Fly, but could have something that's really good. Kind of like, ooh, his name slipped my mind. Jeff Teague and his boys podcast show, which is really, really good as well. So I remember seeing this clip and being like, yo, what the hell happened? And they weren't angry. They didn't really throw a fit. They were laughing like, did he leave? Like they didn't even really know that he left. They were just like, did he leave? And they were like, yo, I've never seen that before. Somebody just walk out in the middle of an interview and just stop doing the filming of the podcast. This personal situation has never happened to me on my podcast. I've never had somebody in the middle say, hey, I got to go. I can't do this. I have had podcasts run long and they say, hey, I got to go right now, but can we shoot more of this at another time? And I've done that. But I've never had somebody just completely walk out. Granted, mine is done remote. Theirs is done in-house, in person. So there's a little bit of difference there. But Rick Ross just walks out. So Ross' sudden exit, supposedly to catch a flight or handle other business, was not communicated clearly, leading to not real hard feelings, but some soft feelings among the 85 South team. The lack of transparency that was perceived as disrespectful. So the 85 South crew, they didn't have beef. They got love for Rick Ross, like a lot of people who love his music got love for Rick Ross. But they were just like, yo, we had you on the show and you just kind of walked out and there's no like there was no explanation as to why. You said you had prior commitments, but that wasn't really specified beforehand and you just bounced. Now, this all happened in 2021. Why am I talking about it now? Well, DC Young Fly later expressed a little bit of frustration, not just about Ross leaving, but that he gave a lengthy and open interview to a different white owned podcast right after filming their show. On this other show, Ross was fully engaged, including discussing topics like him being a former correctional officer, that the 85 South crew was like, hey, we're not going to talk about that out of respect. So this left DC Young Fly, feeling a certain type of way. And this is all coming out now because DC Young Fly was just recently on the Roy and Maul show, which is another podcast. They are a spinoff from the Joe Budden podcast. They were I think the original crew from the Joe Budden podcast, and they have their own podcast now. DC Young Fly was on that podcast talking about this incident because he was asked about it. And he said, with all respect, I love Ross. We just didn't understand why you would walk off, say you had other commitments, but then go to another podcast, a white-owned podcast, and which is nothing wrong. He's not making it a black and white issue, but what he was specifically saying is, look, we're a black podcast. You're a black artist that we're featuring, honoring you with respect. You would think that you would look out for us and just finish the podcast, as opposed to leaving us to go to another podcast that happened to be owned by white people, interviewed by white people, being fully engaged, which you weren't with us, and then talking about controversial issues that we would have never addressed with you. This is all understandable. And when DC Young Fly, I've seen the clip of this particular situation where DC Young Fly was talking about this. In this clip, he's being extremely respectful to Ross. And he was saying, look, man, we just don't understand why you bounce like that. And then went and did another podcast and you didn't really communicate with us afterwards. But it's all love. We still love Ross. I'm paraphrasing here, but these were his words. 4 years after the fact, this is the first time it's been addressed in 4 years. Rick Ross came back. Rick Ross's response to it, he posted, I think it was on his Instagram, that he says, Ross insisted he came to the 85 South show for free. He kept saying for free, didn't ask about analytics and showed love. He jokingly complained about wasting a Gucci jacket on the appearance and requested lemon pepper wings next time, referencing, his Wingstop connection. So DC Young Fly in return set the record straight, noting that none of the high profile guests that they've ever had on the show have ever been paid. These high profile guests include T.I., Busta Rhymes, Boosie, and Snoop Dogg. None of these people have ever been paid. He said the show's success didn't depend on Ross and extended an open invitation for Ross to return, and even said we had 20 lemon pepper wings in the back the day that Ross visited. So what do I feel about all of this? Because I'm nowhere near, Unsolicited Perspective is nowhere near in the ball field of these other podcasts. Nowhere near 85 South, nowhere near Roy Mall. I would never, we're nowhere even close from having somebody like Rick Ross as a guest on the show. And quite honestly, I was a former huge Rick Ross fan. Rick Ross has kind of pissed me off over the last couple of years. He pissed me off with the whole Drake thing, calling him white boy. Yes, Drake is half white. Just like Barack Obama. People seem to forget that. Barack Obama is half white and was raised by his white family. Okay? So was Drake. They said he's a culture vulture and all this stuff. I'm not going to get into that. I've already given my opinion about that. But what I will say is this. That didn't stop Ross from making a lot of music with him. Didn't have a problem with it then. See, Ross does things that are advantageous for him when it's advantageous for him. Okay. So that's capitalism, right? That's being a businessman. Everybody's going to say that's capitalism. The fact that DC Youngfly was being very respectful in explaining the story and saying, we don't have a problem with Ross. We love Ross. We just didn't understand why he left. And Ross comes back with, I pulled up, came for free, wore a jacket that I can't ever wear out again because I appeared on your show with it. Y'all didn't have no lemon pepper wings for me. Well, if your fat ass had stayed and finished the show, DC said there was 200 lemon pepper wings for your fat ass in the back. My problem is he thinks he's bigger than a lot of people out there. He had an issue with 50 Cent. He done ruined the Black Mafia Family television show because he wanted to do a concert with Big Meech, knowing that 50 Cent is producing the television show, knowing that he's got beef with 50 Cent, knowing that 50 Cent takes any type of slight and he's so petty that he's going to have beef. He's going to cancel the show, not do any more seasons, mess up Big Meech's bread, all just to stick it at 50. He attacks Drake. And then instead of just saying, hey, I had prior commitments, yeah, I should have communicated better, he doubles down by saying, y'all little podcast, I didn't even ask y'all about what y'all had going on. You know, y'all didn't have nothing for me. I didn't wasted my shirt for me. And I came in free when everybody does the podcast free. And oh, by the way, those names that they reeled off of guests that have appeared for free, the majority of them are bigger than Rick Ross. T.I., bigger than Rick Ross. Snoop Dogg, way bigger than Rick Ross. These people came on the show, showed love, spent hours on the podcast, didn't ask for a dime, didn't talk about analytics or anything like that. Show respect to these young brothers that are doing something positive and putting out entertainment, and the show is entertaining. And here is Ross, fat ass, talking about analytics and I did it for free. I don't mess with Ross no more. I'm done. I'm done messing with Ross because he's always been a fraud. He stole a drug dealer's name from out in LA. Won't give him any rights back for stealing his name. Rick Ross is actually the name of a drug dealer out in Los Angeles that was the main drug dealer in Los Angeles in the 80s and 90s. He was really moving weight. Rick Ross is a fraud. Rick Ross was not no moving weight type of dude, like he always says in his raps. By the way, that's okay for some artists to, you know, exaggerate a little bit about what they talk about in the streets. Ross wasn't about that. Okay, he was a corrections officer. Did he sell some drugs? Maybe, but he wasn't no Willie Falcone, who he had in one of his songs doing a little speech. Willie Falcone was one of the cocaine cowboys in Miami that was done a documentary on Netflix, and he was a major cocaine trafficker. Rick Ross was not. 50 Cent been done exposed him. 50 Cent told us years ago he was a fraud, but he made good music and we respected his music. Now I don't respect him as a man. I don't. And he won't care. He doesn't care because who am I to him? I'm just saying as a dude that is from a certain generation of people that had some real street in their background. Not saying me. I'm not saying me. I know some people. He doesn't get respect from me as a man because he perpetrates a complete and utter fraud. And him coming back at DC Youngfly just goes to show what type of person that he is. And 50 Cent been done told us, DC, if you're hearing this, keep doing your thing, brother. Forget about Rick Ross. Y'all are doing some positive work. Y'all are doing entertaining work. I enjoy it. And yeah, podcast guests, they do it for free. And if some podcast guest is asking for money, it's going to come with some conditions. So I just thought this was interesting because it was messy, and somebody who is now in this field and who hasn't had to deal with this, but might one day. I love the way the DC Youngfly navigated this, and this was something that everybody can learn from. Always have humility, always have respect when dealing with anybody, because you never know how things are going to turn out. Accountability. What is the definition of accountability? Because it seems like so many people lack that characteristic in their personality. So, what is being accountable? Accountability is the quality or state of being accountable. That doesn't really give you a clear definition of what accountability means because a lot of people, even if I just say, hey, it's about being accountable, they don't understand that. Why? Because a lot of people are not accountable. So, so what does accountability mean? Accountability is an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions. Why am I bringing this up? I'm going to get to a viral story in a minute, but I really want to talk about accountability because it's lacking. And I know what a lot of people are going to say. Well, it's a new thing. People were accountable before back in the day. No, they were not. People by and large don't want to be accountable for their actions because being accountable means that you have to acknowledge that you were wrong. That's what that means. And people having acknowledged that they are wrong, they hate that. Nobody wants to be wrong. Nobody wants to be wrong. Everybody wants to be right. I want to be correct. Correct wouldn't necessarily mean right. But if I know that I'm wrong, I admit it. I say, oh, yeah, I was wrong about that. My bad. Or I'm sorry. I'm going to get to that I'm sorry next. But we're going to stay with accountability. A lot of people don't want to admit that they're flawed because if you say that you're wrong about something, there was a flaw. It was a flaw in your knowledge, a flaw in what you said, a flaw in your actions. People have this idea about being perfect. Nobody is perfect. And I think that people have their, what's the right way to say this? People have their, what they want in life wrong. What do I mean by that? I see a lot of people out there talk about, I'm grinding, I'm chasing the bag, acting like that's what's important in life. In my 45 years, and it's taken me a very long time, I would say about 40 of them, 40 of those 45 years to finally figure out what I believe the purpose of life is. It's to find happiness without hurting others. It's to find joy without hurting others. Forget about legacy. You won't be remembered. I was talking to somebody the other day and I was like, look, after you get past 3 generations in your own family, you're forgotten, right? A lot of people met their grandparents, know their grandparents, had a relationship with their grandparents, but not really their great grandparents. And so the memory of those people are lost to time. Legacy is such a ridiculous thing to try and say that I want to be remembered. There's no guarantee that you're going to be remembered. There have been 45 presidents. Yes, I know. You're going to say, well, isn't Trump 47? Yeah, he's 45 and 47. And there's another president that had 2 separate terms. So there's actually been 45 men that have actually been president of the United States. How many of you guys can name half of them? Half. And let's say that you get those half. You forget about the other half. You forget about it. So the idea of legacy is ridiculous. So the idea of I want to be remembered, that's what life is about, is having a legacy. Oftentimes people have children because they say, I want to have a legacy. I want to be remembered. You're not going to be remembered. There's no guarantee that your name is going to be continued on. If you have all girls, guess what? If they decide to take their partner's name, if they get married, end of the line for your branch of the family tree. So it's stupid. Joy. We have a short period of time on this planet. If you're lucky, you get 80 summers. I've said it before, 80. I've had 45. I'm in my 45th summer. I'm hoping to get 25 more. I know that's not 80, that's 70, but I'm hoping to get 25 more summers. If I can get more than that and be moving around and functional, cool. But 25 more summers, that's the goal. Short period of time. 80 years flies by. When you're a kid, you think it takes forever, but 80 years flies by really fast. It's a short period of time that we're on this planet, that we're living in this existence. It's ridiculous for us to focus on getting that dollar. Don't get me wrong. Like, we need money in order to live life. Like, we have to, right? But for that to be your singular focus in life is to build up your bag. Your bag can be lost by the snap of a finger. It can be lost way quicker than it took you to attain it. So that shouldn't be the focus. It should be joy, as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Joy, because once again, we have a small time on this planet. Now, the problem with having your main focus in life being joy, right? Peace, happiness, is that being wrong can conflict with those things. Because once again, nobody likes being wrong. And when people are wrong, they tend to try to defend themselves. What are they doing? Lacking accountability. And when they're caught out in these situations, they have a really difficult time apologizing. What is an apology? It's an admission of error or discourtesy accompanied by an expression of regret. My sister kills me, and I'm gonna tell a story. It's not the sibling happy hour, but she hates when I tell this story. I'm gonna tell it anyway. When we were younger, not even when we were younger, even when we were adults, when my sister was called out for being wrong about something, she would go, "Sorry." Now, to this day, she still says, "Hey, those sorries were sincere." I was just like, "Yo, your presentation is absolutely horrible because it's coming off as you're just brushing it off to a side. Sorry, that doesn't seem sincere at all." So, what is the proper way to apologize? There's 5 ways to apologize. These 5 ways involve expressing regret, accepting responsibility, making restitution, requesting forgiveness, and showing a planned change. These methods demonstrate sincerity and a commitment to rectify the situation and prevent future occurrences. Let me give you a story. I'm having a debate with a gentleman the other day. This gentleman said to me, "Yeah, Vanilla Ice, he wasn't really popular. People didn't respect him in the rap community." I was like, "Well, yeah, I mean, he was kind of corny, but he made a hot song." And then it was like, "Was it because he's white?" And I was like, "No, there's been a lot of white rappers that have been accepted in the rap community. Vanilla Ice was kind of corny, but hell, Vanilla Ice was just the white version of MC Hammer at that particular time." Look, before we continue on, Hammer deals with beef in certain type of ways. Hammer, I'm not calling you corny at all. I'm saying that at some point, people looked at you as corny. I'm not calling you corny. I don't want no beef. Please, Hammer, Don't Hurt Him, and Let's Get It Started are my 2 favorite MC Hammer songs. It's in the lexicon of my favorite rap songs. Let's Get It Started and Hammer Don't Hurt Him. Okay? But when he started to do Can't Touch This and he had the baggy pants, a lot of people weren't rocking with it. I mean, he sold millions, but a lot of people weren't rocking with it. And Vanilla Ice was kind of mimicking that. So a lot of people was like, "That's corny. That's corny." But the person that I was talking to tried to equate every white rapper like that. And I said, "Absolutely not. I'll go to 2 different extremes. There's Beastie Boys and then there's Eminem." And he's like, "Well, why were they accepted?" Well, they were accepted because Beastie Boys were on Def Jam, right? And Eminem was backed by Dr. Dre. And Beastie Boys were from Brooklyn, right? New York, the home of hip hop. Eminem was from the D, Detroit, and was a battle rapper. Like, they always get respected in the rap community. And matter of fact, Eminem might be one of the best lyricists that's ever graced the mic. Let me get to the point where he needed to apologize. He then makes a statement, "Oh yeah, Beastie Boys and Jay-Z knew each other back in the day." I said, "I mean, they know each other now, but not back in the day. No." "Yeah, no. They did because they had a producer, Rick Rubin, together." I was like, "No. Rick Rubin did produce a song for Jay-Z, 99 Problems, on the Black Album, I think released in 2004. And he was a producer that worked with Def Jam. Rockefeller was signed under the Def Jam label, but Beastie Boys and Jay-Z didn't know each other when Beastie Boys were like at their height." "Yeah, they did." "Okay, no, they didn't, because Beastie Boys came out in 84. Jay-Z didn't even start rapping until 88, 89 when he was rapping with Jazzo. They didn't know each other." "No, you're wrong." "Okay." So I look it up, and sure enough, there is no connection that can be found at all in the mid 80s between the Beastie Boys and Jay-Z. And instead of conceding this argument, instead of having accountability to just admitting that they were wrong and apologizing that they were arguing with me and raising my blood pressure, this person continued on to try and find little kernels to try and figure out a way where they could be right. And then finally I said, you know what? I'm done with this conversation because it's very clear to me that you don't want to admit in any way that you're wrong. And you're trying to find a way that you can have a silver lining to be right. And they finally confessed to me, yeah, nobody likes to be wrong. I said, but being an adult is having accountability and apologizing to me for raising my blood pressure all the way up, arguing with me, fighting with me when you are wrong. Person didn't apologize. They just said, "Oh, I mean, I guess I'm wrong." That's what they said. And I said, "I'm never going to have a discussion with you, a debate with you ever again." Because this is a person that I've had multiple debates with, and they're always wrong. And the reason why they're always wrong is because I don't talk about anything that I don't know. If I don't know something, I just like, actually, I don't know anything about that. That goes above my head. I routinely say that's above my head. I don't know. If you have some information, please share it with me. And if I don't know something, I will go and research it. If I am wrong, I acknowledge the fact that I'm wrong. I apologize for whatever thing that I've done to the person that I've wronged. I ask for forgiveness if they can accept my apology, and then let them know, yeah, I'm going to fix this issue so we don't have this issue ever again. The 5 ways to apologize. Now, how do I know about the 5 ways to apologize? A former woman that I dated said that I didn't really apologize well. Hey, I had this flaw that I didn't, want to take accountability, and I had a problem apologizing. I'm not speaking about anything that I don't know. I, I used to be this person. I stopped being this person. I started acknowledging, and this is another situation where I got to give credit to my ex-wife for pointing these things out and helping with my growth. Now I've grown leaps and bounds since dealing with her. So there have been other people along the way, but she was the initial spark to be like, yo, the way you moving is kind of foul. You don't take accountability, and you really don't apologize well when you take accountability. So that is accountability and apologizing. There are some people listening and watching this right now that are just like, damn, he is speaking to my soul. Yeah, I'm speaking directly to you. That's not cool to be a person that lacks accountability and doesn't apologize. You know what ends up happening? People don't want to be around you. I hate being around people that feel like they have to always be right, that always want to argue, always want to debate, and don't want to admit, I guess I was wrong in my position in this argument. You get it a lot now in the political world, but you just have it just in everyday life. I am tired of the conversation, who was better, Michael Jordan or LeBron James? It is Michael Jordan. End of discussion. He is the greatest skilled basketball player that ever existed, as well as being one of the greatest athletes. You put those two things together, equals the best, the greatest. LeBron James is damn good. Damn good. He's in the top 5, but stop saying that he's Michael Jordan. He ain't Michael Jordan. I'm tired of having this conversation. I'm tired of having the conversation, who was better, Michael Jackson or Prince? I actually don't know the answer to that question. I like Michael better, but I also love Prince. Two things could be true at the same time. Couldn't they just both be great? But the fact of the matter is, nobody wants to ever admit that they're wrong, never want to take accountability, and never want to apologize. And if it's hitting your soul, I'm letting you know, because if you don't change your ways, people are going to elect not to be around you, because nobody likes a person that's so stuck in their ways, so stubborn that they can't be reasoned with. If you're not a reasonable person, you're going to find your circle getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's going to be a lonely existence. But why am I bringing all of this up? Right? Like Bruce, what got you started on accountability and apologies? Well, if you've been living under a rock, there was this viral moment that happened at a Coldplay concert where a couple got caught in an incident. Y'all know what I'm talking about. because y'all seen it. If you've been on social media at all, you've seen it. So at a recent Coldplay concert at the Boston Gillette Stadium, a couple was inadvertently thrust into the spotlight after being shown on the venue's kiss cam during the band's performance. The moment became instantly awkward. The man was seen hugging a woman from behind. Y'all all know what you do when you hug a woman from behind. Look, I remember working in the restaurant industry, and I'll never forget who she was. I'm not gonna put her name out there, but her name was Big Booty and her first name. Now, I've said that a lot about a lot of people. Big booty something, big booty this. I have another friend that I call her first name and then booty cheeks. You know, this isn't her name, but let's just say her name is saved in my phone as Lisa Booty Cheeks. It's a friend of mine uh, that I used to work in the restaurant business with. But what did she have that were spectacular? Booty cheeks. So this particular woman in a restaurant that I worked at, I called her Big Booty and in her first name to her face. Like she knew that her name was saved in my phone like that. And I used to always give her a hug from behind. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I was a creep. Okay. I mean, I was young. I was 40 years old. No, I wasn't. I was a lot younger than that. But I used to give her a hug from behind. Y'all know what I'm doing when I give a hug from behind. And if you don't know what I'm doing, if you're a female out there, have a man give you a hug from behind and see what is touching you. Okay. So my man is at the Coldplay concert. He's hugging this woman from behind. When they noticed themselves on the big screen, both quickly separated. The woman turned her face away and the man tried to duck out the frame. Then Chris Martin, Coldplay's lead singer, commented on the Jumbotron, joking, either they're having an affair or they're just very shy, which got the whole crowd laughing. Now, this got caught and put on all social media sites. What ended up happening? So this viral clip goes viral. Social media figures out who they are. Andy Byron, he's the CEO of a software company called Astronomer, and his head of HR, Kristen Cobbett. Guess what? They're married. Not to each other, though, to somebody else. Remember what I said, mind you, he's hugging her from the back. They are living their best lives in this suite, singing the Coldplay songs, having a good damn time. They're not alone. There's an assistant that works in HR that just got hired that's in the suite with them. And when she pops up on the Jumbotron, she looks embarrassed, thoroughly embarrassed. So either she knew that they was cheating or she knew that they was cheating. There's no other reason for you to feel embarrassed. She knew that they was cheating. And I got to be honest, that's bold. That is bold. That is bold to take your coworker that you having an affair with, because clearly you having an affair. You don't hug no woman from behind unless you trying to do something or y'all are doing something. I've never hugged a woman from behind. That, hey, y'all know where I'm going with that. I ain't never did. A hug from behind means something different. And it wasn't even like a little quick hug. He was holding. It was a holding hug. Arms wrapped around her front. He's standing behind her. She's grabbing a hold of her arms. They're swaying back and forth to the music. Guilty. I declare this couple guilty of adultery. It is clear. Now, there's been a viral apology where he takes accountability at the beginning of the apology. He says, I'm sorry to my family, my friends, my kids. This is not the person that I am. Everybody always goes there. This is who I am. This is who you are. And then proceeds to blame Coldplay for being like, you shouldn't be putting people's private business out there in the streets. Now, they have claimed, the spokespeople for the company, since he's the CEO of a really wealthy company, have said that apology is fake. I tend to believe it because, that apology really lacked strong accountability and was not a very sincere apology as they try to deflect. So I believe that it was fake. Also, it could be real. And then they said, this is a bad PR move. Let's just say that was a fake. That was a fake apology. Either way, either that's the statement or he has not made a statement, and they both look bad. Now, you say, why does he need to make a public apology? Well, because he was caught in public and he's a public figure. He needs to make a public apology. But I guess you got to get home straight first. I mean, it did just happen the other night. So you got to get home straight first. I hope that when he goes to his wife, he uses those 5 different things in his apology. Most importantly, when he does apologize, damn, he got to have some accountability. I don't know how you're going to explain it away. I got caught one time. It's out in the streets after the clubs let out. I thought my girlfriend at the time had gone away. Thought she was going home. I'm with my boys. I'm parking lot pimping out there in the streets. Find me a nice tenderoni. I say tenderoni because I was 18. She was probably 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. She was around that age, right? Fine tenderoni. And I'm spitting game, right? I'm spitting all the game. Got her laughing and giggling, kikiing. I'm about to get the number. I hear my boys yelling. I'm not paying attention because I'm wrapped up in what I'm doing. I get hit from behind with a punch in my back. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm about to start fighting. This is messed up because I'm about to get this number from this dime piece. Turn around, it's my girlfriend. Now, she was Cuban and Puerto Rican. I'm just going to put that out there. She was Cuban and Puerto Rican. Okay. She loses it. I had to come up with a lie on the spot because the girl said, you better handle that, and walked away. So I'm already mad that I didn't get that girl's phone number. But also, my girlfriend looked like she about to beat my ass. So I came in with a lie because the girl's already walked away, and I'm looking dead at my girlfriend. And I said, baby, what you doing? She says, you out here hollering at other women? No, that was my friend. Look, I told you about her. Me and her had a falling out, and I saw her out here. It's the first time I seen her since the whole semester started. And I was trying to just see what's up and see if we could be friends again. I wasn't out here hollering. I wasn't. Like, I told you about her. I never told her about her. I never did, but she's drunk. She don't remember, right? She was like, yeah, I do remember. That was her. That was her. That was all I was trying to do. Where'd she go? So I could let her know. I knew that she had walked away, but I'm playing it up. I got myself out of the situation. I did. I got myself out of the situation. Now, later on, that particular girlfriend cheated on me, but she had caught me in some other things. So maybe she was justified. But anyway, I didn't apologize. I didn't take accountability. I lied to try to get my way out of it. Why? Because I was scared of losing something. I didn't want to be wrong. Maybe Andy will take accountability and apologize, or maybe he'll come up with a good lie. I don't know how you can get yourself out of this one because y'all was cheesing, hugging from behind, having yourself a grand old time. I don't know how a lie is going to get you out of there. Their best thing to do is to admit that you were wrong, apologize, and take accountability. And for everybody else out there, let this be a lesson. Apologize properly, take accountability, or you're going to see your circle getting smaller and smaller, and you won't have anybody else to blame but yourself. All right, for this segment, a little parental discretion is advised because I'm going to be talking about, ladies and gentlemen, this is the time to pause it if you're around kids, because I'm going to be talking about nudes. Nudes. It's one of my favorite things in the entire world. Sorry, mama. It's one of my favorite things. When I get a nude from a woman I'm talking to or dating or married to or what have you, whew, it just brightens up my day. Even though if it's my girlfriend or wife or I'm in a relationship with them, I see them naked. I see them, but it's something about getting a nude. It's kind of like getting a package from Amazon. You know, me and my sister have talked about it. There's something about going down to the mailbox or going down to your Amazon lockers, getting that notification, going down there, getting your Amazon box, forgetting what you ordered from Amazon, opening it up. It's like Christmas. when you get a text and it says a picture and you know what it is, oh man, it's like Christmas all over again. Now, for some women out there that get unsolicited nudes from men, I apologize on behalf of all men. I have never sent an unsolicited nude. I don't ever really send no nudes out there. I mean, that's just me. I ain't really the type of person that's gonna be taking pictures of myself like that. I just don't do that. But I got a lot of them. Now, here's the thing with women that have sent me nudes. If they ask me to delete them, I delete them. I'm a man of my word. Well, sometimes. Because, back in the day, I used to cheat. And I said, I was going to be faithful. But if I say that I'm going to delete your nude, I'm going to erase it, I'm going to erase it. Right? Like I'm going to. However, if you don't tell me to delete it, don't assume that I'm going to delete it because I did not. I got a folder that goes all the way back from 1999. And I bet you're asking yourself, Bruce, how did you get news in 1999? College, we had webcams. We had webcams in college. And you also had like Polaroids and pictures. So yeah, you got nudes. How do you get them on your computer? If they're Polaroids or something like that? Oh, just scan them. Just scan them. I got a folder. Now, let me rephrase that. I got a hard drive of 27 years of nudes and a Google photo file. Am I a creep? Serial creep? Yeah, I guess so. I'm opening up to y'all. Don't judge me. I am who I am. Don't judge me. Once again, if women ask me to delete them, I delete them. Now, there's going to be some women that have dated me, that have sent me nudes, that are listening and watching this video. And they're going to say, I never told Bruce to delete them. I know now I'm going to get some DMs. And what I'm going to say to you guys right now is I got to find them. If I can find them, I'll delete them, but I got to find them. It's a lot of files. Anyway, I was a player back in the day. Anyway, why am I bringing all this up? I bring all this up because I want to stress, if somebody has sent me a nude and asked me to delete them, I delete them out of respect. I don't want that. I don't want that karma coming back on me. I'm a strong believer in karma. I don't want that karma coming back on me. Now, I'm bringing this up because recently I was talking to a friend. Friend is dating a guy. It's her boyfriend, right? They have been dating for like 3 or 4 years. They're together. Okay. One weekend, he was away on a business trip. It wasn't a weekend. It was a little bit longer than that. But he was away from her for a while. And he was like, hey, baby, can you send me a pic? Get me through this spell that I'm without you. With some hesitation, with strong hesitation, she sent the pic and said, make sure you delete this. Now, they've been together for 4 years. This was a couple of years ago that this happened. She recently found out he never deleted the pic. He kept the pic. And his response to keeping the pic was, you just look so hot, I couldn't get rid of it. Not taking accountability, right? He was wrong. He was wrong. He should have deleted the pic, and he did not do it. This is her man, by the way. Not some dude that she's dating. Just dating, just met. Because women out there, let me tell you something. Unless, you're an OnlyFans model or you really don't have a problem with your body being out there, don't send no man no nude too quickly. Let that be your man before you send him a nude. Or you got to really, really trust him. Because odds are one or two things are going to happen. And I'm going to put y'all on game. I'm breaking every guy code. I'm going to put y'all on game because I got more female friends than I do male friends. And I've been telling them this, so I'm going to spread it out to the audience here and put y'all on game. Men ain't deleting anything unless you tell them. And the majority of the time, men aren't going to delete it even when you tell them to delete it. And you might think that they care a lot about you they might think you just somebody that they're kicking it with, and they're going to show their boys. They're going to show their boys. Now, my own personal belief is I don't really share what women share to me. I don't. I feel like it's disrespectful. They send it to me. They didn't send it to be spread out to everybody. And then you also run afoul of sending somebody something that somebody sent to you. It's their nude. It's on somebody else's phone. It could be spread out. I look. I'm not going to be a part of that. Never going to do that. So I can assure every woman that's ever sent me a nude, I ain't showing people. Okay. Also, I wouldn't show anybody that I'm really serious with. Why? Because I don't want people looking at my girl. Now, hold on. Because I've dated women who were exotic dancers. And I even told the story, unbeknownst to me at the time, that I dated a former porn star. Afterwards, I had a really difficult time dealing with that, but I was young. I was 25. That was 20 years ago. I wouldn't have a problem with it now, right? I'm not going to just, that's her decision, though. If she's openly showing her body to people in public, then okay. That's completely different than me sharing the picture to men that she didn't intend to see her in that situation. I'm telling you, women out there, I'm telling you, don't be sending news to random dudes, because I have a lot of guy friends. And there have been times that some of I guess they wouldn't be my closest friends. My closest friends have never done anything like this, but friends, people that I'm cool with, have shown me women that they're dating, and it be their girl, and I'm like, yo, bruh, like, what you doing? Like, don't show me a picture. I don't want to see a picture of your girl. That's your girl. If it's a chick that you just kicking it with, okay, but that's your girl. Like, I know her. Like, I kicked it with. We went out into the city and had a good time. Like, I don't want to see her. Why are you showing this to me? I'm not talking about anybody in particular. I'm just saying it's something that's happened to me back in the day, right? And I'm telling y'all women, don't be trusting these dudes. Don't trust them. And that's coming from a dude that's got a hard drive of not just pictures, videos, the whole nine. Okay. And if you think you sent something to him on Snapchat and he wasn't able to keep it, you was wrong. He kept all that stuff on Snapchat. There are different apps that you can open through Snapchat that doesn't delete it. It keeps it in a separate Snapchat file, and you don't know anything about it. Okay. Like I knew about that all the way back in like 2015, 16. Okay. I'm not on Snapchat anymore. I don't do that I don't live that life anymore. I'm 45, I'm old. I haven't gotten no nude in a long time, so like I'm not living that life anymore. I'm talking about my younger years back in the day, back way, 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 way back in the day, like 10 years ago and plus 10, 15, 20 years ago. But yeah, like you can't trust people. You can't. You have to always have be disconcerting when you're dealing with people. So I told my friend who came to me and was telling me about this situation with her boyfriend and what should she do. He swore to her that he would delete it and even did it in front of her. And I was like, did you check his recently deleted? Did you check and see if he sent it to himself? Did you check and see if he made a copy and kept it someplace else? Look, I know every trick in the book. I know every trick in the book. I was like, are you sure? She was like, Bruce, if I'm not sure, then what does that say about our relationship? I said, it says a lot. It says a lot. It says that after 4 years, you can't trust him. You can't. Because you sent him some nudes that he begged for, that you let him know that you were very apprehensive about doing it, requested him to delete it, and you're finding out 2 years later, he still got him. didn't really apologize until you pressed him on it. Cause I seen the text thread, like they were going back and forth through text. And she sent me a copy of the text thread and I saw it. And I was like, he didn't really apologize in the beginning. Like he didn't. He didn't apologize until you pressed him. And he was like, I'm so sorry, because he knew in that moment, oh, this might be a situation that she leaves me over. He didn't realize before then that that would absolutely be a situation that she would leave you over because you disrespected her and you showed that she couldn't trust you. So she asked me, what should she do? And I said, I can't tell you what to do. That's not a fair question for me to tell you what to do. I can't tell you what to do. Your heart will tell you what to do. Either you're going to believe him that he deleted it, that it's going to stay deleted, that it'll never be done again, and y'all are going to move forward from this, and he's going to do the things necessary to gain your trust back because he's lost your trust. Well, I don't think he would cheat. Okay, all right, but he's lost your trust. There's sometimes trusting in your partner isn't about, oh, I trust that they won't cheat on me. I mean, that should be the bare minimum. It's about, do you feel safe around them? If you don't trust them, can you feel safe around them? I don't think you can. So I was like, I can't make this decision for you. I can't even tell you what to do. You have to decide what you want to do. You have to go with what's in your heart. I mean, y'all been together for 4 years. Y'all been talking about, doing that walk down the aisle. You have to make sure that you're sure and that you can trust him. He has to be contrite. He has to truly apologize because he hasn't technically done it all yet. He has to take real accountability because he hasn't technically taken all the accountability yet. And y'all need to see if you can move forward. If you can't move forward, then it's time for y'all to go separate ways. And maybe this was a blessing in disguise to show you who he really was. Or maybe it was really just a severe lapse in judgment, that he is a very trustworthy person. And he thought keeping the picture wouldn't hurt anybody. Because that's also very possible. I told her that. It's also very possible, right? Like I've done things that I didn't have malicious intent, but were disrespectful to other people unintentionally. And that's when you find out you were wrong. You take accountability and you apologize. Something that Andy Byron still hasn't done. And Kristen Colbert hasn't done either. That's going from the last segment, but y'all know what I mean. So, as much as I love them, I do know with great power comes a certain responsibility. And my responsibility is to always respect the person that has decided to let me into their privacy. And this isn't just about nudes. This is about anything. People often tell me messy stories. And a lot of times I repeat them on this podcast. A lot of times I ask them before I talk about it on this podcast. Sometimes they just come to me in the spur of the moment and I just say, oh, there's a story. Never, ever do I ever put the name of the person in the story because I want to be respectful of their privacy. And I don't really need a lot of clues that can have people find out because people don't know who are the personal people in my life. And they don't know like how I'm attached to them. Is it a client? Is it a friend? Because I say everybody, a friend of mine or somebody I know. Okay? I don't say a friend of ours. I say a friend of mine. A little mafia trickery, right? But I respect their privacy. I'm not going to put their information on blast. It's not just about nudes. It's about if somebody tells you a secret, don't turn around and say, ooh, I just found out something. Don't tell anybody that I told you. You're disrespecting their privacy. It's disrespectful. So when that happens to you, you got one or two ways to respond to it. If somebody disrespects your privacy, you confront them on it, and they're going to do one or two things. They're going to take accountability and apologize, or they're not. And if they don't, move on. That's what I say. It don't take me much to move on. My uncle used to call me the sniper because I cut people loose real quick. I'll walk past you and won't say a word to you every day if I decide that I don't want you in my life anymore. I guess they say that's a cancer trait, but I don't know. But anyway, look, ladies and gentlemen out there, let's all grow up, right? Let's acknowledge when we're wrong. Let's take accountability. Let's grow up. And that's my message for you today. Not just for y'all, also for me. I still have lapses. I am still an evolving person. I make mistakes. When I make mistakes, I try to make sure I give a sincere apology and take real accountability for it, and then try to make sure that it never happens again. Why don't you try to do the same thing? It'll make sure that your circle stays strong. Make sure it doesn't dwindle, because nobody wants to be around somebody who doesn't take accountability and doesn't apologize. And on that note, I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank you for watching. And until next time, as always, I'll holla. Woo, that was a hell of a show. Thank you for rocking with us here on Unsolicited Perspectives with Bruce Anthony. Now, before you go, don't forget to follow, subscribe, like, comment, and share our podcast wherever you're listening or watching it to it. Pass it along to your friends. If you enjoy it, that means the people that you rock with will enjoy it also. So share the wealth, share the knowledge, share the noise. And for all those people that say, well, I don't have a YouTube. If you have a Gmail account, you have a YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can actually watch our video podcast and YouTube exclusive content. But the real party is on our Patreon page, After Hours Uncensored and Talking Straight-ish. After Hours Uncensored is another show with my sister. And once again, the key word there is uncensored. Those are exclusively on our Patreon page. Jump onto our website at unsolicitedperspectives.com for all things us. That's where you can get all of our audio, video, our blogs, and even buy our merch. And if you really feel generous and want to help us out, you can donate on our donations page. Donations go strictly to improving our software and hardware so we can keep giving you guys good content that you can clearly listen to and that you can clearly see. So any donation would be appreciative. Most importantly, I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for listening and watching and supporting us. And I'll catch you next time. Audi 5000. Peace.